kind of muscles you have? No. Bro, what kind of patterns you have? Or is it just aesthetics?
Hello everybody, welcome back to Training Every Single Day. Today was a leg day. Yesterday I had a pretty intense upper body day, with the Stalder presses, with the one arm pull-ups. That left my elbow feeling a little bit in pain when I was trying to sleep. So today was going to be a rest day for the upper body. And I did a variety of leg training, which was actually really quite fun. I really enjoyed it. There are a lot of capabilities of the legs and I guess the entire human body. But do you know all the capabilities, that you can train for? I'm just going to name as many as I can. You can use your legs. One of the most fundamental ones is for footwork, to manipulate your feet underneath you in order to stand, in order to walk, in order to move. And footwork can get you in position, to position your body into something you can think of. In a martial arts, you need to move and position around the ring that you're in on the right side of the opponent that you need to be in. And then there's also mobility. Mobility in a lot of senses. There's mobility in the sense of flexibility mobility, and also the ability to move, run. So you can run either quickly, slowly for endurance, speed, which is explosiveness, which is also done in a lot of plyometric, a lot of jumping, that you can train for that kind of attribute, as well as endurance, for running long distances. The legs are more endurance, have more of an endurance quality to them than the upper body. I've talked about it in the past of why, but the lower body is more built for endurance, and you should train it with that kind of idea behind it, even when you're going for strength and for speed and explosiveness. The legs can also be trained for strength and all sorts of strengths, either a very quick strength, a very weightlifting style strength, or an explosive strength like plyometrics. There's also the ability for balance. Balance is a full body thing, but balancing on your feet and on your legs should have its own kind of respect. So what kind of mobility or what kind of attributes are you training for in your legs or in the rest of your body? And how are your movements really meant for that? If you're trying to jump very high and all you're doing is weightlifting, that's not a proper alignment of goals. And if you're training just to have very nice looking legs, but all you do is running, that possibly could get you to the aesthetics that you want. But if you want the most size in your legs, but all you do is run, that's not really the best. So here I'm working in with a little bit of an acrobatic intent, doing some of those heel clicks. I've seen people do it. I've never really tried it, so I gave it a little bit of a practice here today, and a few, maybe one backflip or so. If you made it this far in the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. That's the best way to support the channel, and follow my Instagram in my bio. This right here is some acrobatic style of training, really focusing on getting in the air and having some body control. You can do grounded acrobatics, which I have not done in quite a while. I did a little bit of rolling the other day, but ever since I started learning flips, aerial acrobatics have been kind of the main focus of my acrobatic training. Here I had a little bit of fun, had an idea when it came to juggling, bouncing it off my elbow. So I spent some time working with a different juggling pattern, trying to, whatever this would be called. But it was quite fun. I haven't done it before, just kind of made it up. I'm sure it's been done before, but I really do enjoy this creativity, and I liked how it involves some of the rotation of the shoulder. And when you do a lot of strength movements and movements like crawling or calisthenics, the rotation of the shoulder often doesn't get used. So this is a very light and easy way to incorporate some rotation of the shoulder to build some flexibility, mobility in a very low impact, low injury risk way, something that's very safe. You do get to use some strength to pop the ball up when you're doing my juggling here. But for you, you should always have something that's easy because most of your training should be easy and something that you enjoy and as a pulling factor, something that you can be sustainable lifelong. So juggling is very simple. It's very low fatiguing. You can juggle practically forever without really being fatigued. And engaging more of the shoulders and its rotation here is something I really enjoyed. And when you do something long enough, eventually you progress it. And if you want to learn how to juggle, I recommend starting off with plastic bags because they are much easier to do. Working a couple squats here, some of the dragon squat. I'm really happy that I'm able to do them now, and I'm building up the mobility there, along with some Hawaiian squats that all of them should help increase some hip mobility, but I personally haven't quite found that yet. Maybe I just need to keep sticking with it. I was hoping that this Hawaiian squat here will help turn into a lotus, help promote the lotus, but so far the lotus and butterfly stretches are something that I do struggle with quite a lot. If you have any tips on how to get a full lotus, half lotus, butterfly stretch, Taylor's pose, those kind of stretches, leave them in the comments. I'd like to hear some advice there. That's one of the moves I personally struggle with. This is a pretty good stretch that stretches out the back and works some of the squat. It uses the knees a fair amount, but my knees are quite strong. And you can check out the knee training video I did today. I have a video out on how to train your knees for beginners. So if you guys are just starting out, you want to know kind of the basics on how to train your knees and not have any knee trouble, there it is. Just like that rabbit here. I didn't get a lot of motion of the rabbit. Unfortunately, I think I kind of spooked it, so it kind of just froze, hoping I wouldn't see it. Normally some animals move and they move so freely with some pure technique, which often I get some inspiration from. I used to hunt rabbits. I was thinking about hunting and eating this guy, but I didn't really have any desire to kill him. So I just let him graze and be free here. Doing some squats. Working on the squat was for strength, but then I was doing a hypertrophy focused. Hypertrophy just means muscle growth, like bodybuilding, to get bigger and more swollen muscles, is what I did for most of it, to work on the lower legs so they can look nice and pretty. The only things I could really say about bodybuilding of the calves and the lower legs is to really focus on the lowering part, lower it very slowly and with a lot of control. And that goes for any kind of body part. When it comes to bodybuilding, you want to focus on having a lot of control and using lots of repetitions for the appropriate body part. Legs, again, are endurance focused, have an endurance attribute to them. So you need to use a lot more reps with legs than you would with your upper body if you're focusing on muscle growth. Now, it's also important to really work on the stretch position, to really get a stretch, really get a lot of control on the way down into the stretch, which also in turn helps work some mobility. But I would need a higher foot elevation to get mobility gains in the feet. I train that a little separately off camera. When I walk upstairs, I stretch out my calves a good amount. And then the dead hangs. The dead hangs, the main purpose I'm using them for is to mobilize the spine, do lots of spinal waves, a lot of spinal movement. That's one of the most important things when it comes to movement culture, movement training, is to have a very controlled and mobile spine.